Donald Trump has signed more executive orders in his first 4 weeks in office than any president in the history of the United States. This and more as we jump into the pit. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Social Pit Podcast for the week of February 17th, 2025. To piss off MAGA, I want to say Happy Joe Biden Day. Now, we hope you all had a wonderful Valentine's Day weekend. And as I stated here at the beginning, Donald Trump has signed more executive orders in his first 4 weeks in office than any president in the history of the United States. To date, Donald Trump has signed 65 executive orders, and most of them are redundant and also absurd. Many presidents do sign a lot of executive orders in their first few days in office. The closest that anyone has come to Donald Trump's amount of executive orders in the first 4 weeks is President Joseph Biden. In 2021, he signed 33 executive orders. Now, most of those executive orders that President Biden had signed undid a lot of the criminal acts that Donald Trump had signed in his first 4 years from 2017 to 2021. And right now, because of the Supreme Court's decision regarding Donald Trump's immunity, Donald Trump thinks he is immune from any and all criminal activity as long as he is executing the duties of the office of the President of the United States. Now, one of these ridiculous executive orders he has signed is ending the procurement and forced use of paper straws. This is Executive Order 14208 that says an irrational campaign against plastic straws has resulted in major cities, states, and businesses banning the use of or automatic inclusion of plastic straws with beverages. Now, to say that money is being wasted on paper straws versus plastic straws is still an absurd executive order for him to consider. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because Donald Trump instituted a new department within the government called DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, run by none other than Elon Musk. Elon Musk is trying to cut government spending wherever he can. But the problem is he does not have any authority over the United States' financial budget. That is the power of Congress. Now, other executive orders that Donald Trump is signing is the establishment of the White House Faith Office. This executive order is a direct violation of the First Amendment and is a clear-cut violation of the separation of church and state. Let us remember that the Founding Fathers stated that Congress shall pass no laws respecting the establishment of any religion whatsoever. And let us not forget that it wasn't until 1957, under the leadership of Joseph McCarthy in the United States Senate, that forced our government to put on our money "In God We Trust," and also to say the phrase "under God" in the Pledge of Allegiance. For many years, we had prayer in public schools. And it was taken to the Supreme Court that prayer should not be allowed in public schools. In 1962, the Supreme Court decided in Engel versus Vitale that prayer in public schools was not permitted as long as each school received federal funding from the United States. This decision was based on the fact that the First Amendment said freedom of religion and freedom from religion. And also the key phrase that Congress shall pass no laws respecting the establishment of religion. Today, states like Oklahoma, the superintendent of the school board there, is trying to force the public schools to have the Trump Bibles put in every classroom. Now, not only is this a direct violation of the First Amendment, this is also a direct conflict of interest of President Donald J. Trump, as this is his marketing product. And as I also mentioned that, let us keep in mind that Donald Trump has yet to step down from his role in Trump Industries, where he is making copious amounts of money of his $3.4 million each week for his trips to Mar-a-Lago. Now, coming back to Doge, keep in mind that the Department of Government Efficiency is trying to find ways to cut spending within the federal government. Now, why is he cutting so much spending, but yet not saying a word about Donald Trump's consistent trips to Mar-a-Lago? Now, from 2017 to 2019, Donald Trump had taken nearly 100 trips, and at $3.4 million per trip, that is over $340 million. And that paid for not only the upkeep of Air Force One, but also his security detail and the stay at Mar-a-Lago. It is also noted with the Office of Budget and Management that Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago charged the Secret Service 4 times the going rate for them to stay at his resort. Now, what else is Elon Musk doing with the Doge office? He's also trying to push for the procurement of his Cybertrucks. If Tesla has a contract with the United States federal government with Elon Musk as the primary owner of Tesla, and the Cybertrucks are purchased under government contracts for use of official government duties, Elon Musk stands to make more money with Tesla as he does with the $3 million he makes per week as the director of Doge. Many MAGA fans are very pleased with Elon Musk, and they're spreading rumors that Elon Musk is sleeping at the Doge office. He's not taking a paycheck, which is in fact wrong. A billionaire like Elon Musk, who's worth over $400 billion, is not sleeping on a cot in a government office. Because not only is that absurd, it is also against government policy. Another executive order that Donald Trump signed is Executive Order 14190, ending radical indoctrination in K through 12 schooling. But when you look at the definition of the term indoctrination, the process of teaching a person or a group to accept a set of beliefs unconditionally. The problem is the only people that accept belief unconditionally, without question, without asking if there's proof, is religion. Christianity happens to be the largest indoctrination group here in America. Many people have used religion to push forth their own personal and unethical, immoral agenda, which is why Donald Trump is signing executive orders trying to push for a faith-based government. Now, as a veteran in the United States Air Force who served in Operation Desert Storm, I have been to Saudi Arabia where I watched a religious government control the people. Now, this was a nation where it was only the men had rights and women were classified as fourth-rate citizens. Even their camels had more rights than women. Some Muslim countries have progressed from that archaic era of Saudi Arabia's mentality and have allowed women to get more extenuating rights. And lately, Saudi Arabia has eased up a little bit, allowing women the right to drive. Now, here in America, women were not allowed to vote until 1920. Women were not allowed to have jobs until World War II. And women were not allowed to have their own bank accounts or file for divorce until the 1970s. And during this last election, we saw J.D. Vance be very upset with single women cat moms. The war on women is always going to be a religious-based ideology. And this election showed that this country is not wanting to progress into the future to allow what other nations have already done, and that is a woman leader. Now, the first executive order that Donald Trump had signed into law was Executive Order 14147, which was ending the weaponization of the federal government. Throughout his campaign, Donald Trump kept screaming that the Justice Department was weaponized by President Biden against him. That was, in fact, categorically wrong. The only thing that was weaponized against Donald Trump was the Constitution of the United States and the United States codes that was set forth by our government. Many of these laws that Donald Trump is so angry about date back long before he was even conceived. Such laws as campaign finance fraud, tax cheating, and other very unethical and immoral practices done by millionaire businessmen on the daily. Donald Trump is just upset that he finally got caught in the open because he publicly admitted he could do no wrong. Let us remember in 2016, Donald Trump openly admitted he could stand on Fifth Avenue and murder someone and nothing could ever happen to him. And this past January, we kind of saw that as Donald Trump was convicted of 34 felony counts. An unconditional discharge of those charges prevented him from going to prison. Now, as I tie all this together, one of the main focuses of today's podcast is trust the courts. If you followed me through my TikTok, I have mentioned time and time again that I am a former convicted felon. Under Donald Trump, I was charged with a cyber-stalking crime. What I did was I emailed a political candidate, and a MAGA judge appointed by Donald Trump said I did not have a First Amendment right to go against that political candidate. This particular judge wrote jury instructions to ensure that I was not guaranteed a First Amendment defense and prevented me from actually having a lawful defense. And in his wordings to the jury, I was found guilty of one count of cyberstalking. That conviction sent me to prison. He had sentenced me to 12 months and 1 day with a $10,000 fine and a 3-year probation. Now, this MAGA judge also had zero experience as a lawyer, zero experience as a judge. He was barred, but his primary job before he became a judge was he was a property tax lawyer. This was a man who never really saw the inside of a courtroom before he was appointed by Donald Trump to the federal bench. Before that, he was never even a state judge or a county judge. But because he worked on Republican campaigns and got to know some Republican politicians on the federal level, they put his name in with Donald Trump to get him appointed to a federal bench. And through his resume and interview process with Donald Trump, he was appointed. His nomination went before the Senate, and it came under great controversy before his formal appointment to the bench. During his confirmation hearing, a young senator from California questioned his loyalty to the Catholic Church and to the Knights of Columbus. And until January 20th this year, we called that senator Madam Vice President. Former Vice President Kamala Harris had questioned this particular judge's appointment to the bench because the Knights of Columbus was a very political, religious-based organization trying to push forth religious-based laws, which once again is a direct violation of the First Amendment, separation of church and state. Now, as I went ahead and went through the steps of the legal process, I reported to prison. And while I was in prison, my case went before the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals. Halfway through my time in prison, a 3 Republican judge panel heard my case. They had questioned why my First Amendment defense was not accepted by the courts. They questioned the prosecuting attorney quite rigidly in why he pressed for me to go to prison. And when the prosecuting attorney found out that I had a First Amendment right to speak out against a political candidate, he then tried to throw the judge under the bus. Now, the evidence was very overwhelming in my defense. We had listed many cases as to why I should have been entitled to a First Amendment defense. They went ahead and analyzed each one of those cases based on what my situation was in regards to what I did, and made a very detailed reason as to why my conviction should be overturned. Now, in the appeals court, most cases, when they are upheld or overturned, are usually about 3 to 4 pages long. In my situation, because it was a First Amendment defense, my case was 9 pages in detail as to what transpired, as to why the appeals court overturned my conviction. And in the end, 3 Republican judges said I was not guilty of what I did because it was protected free speech under the First Amendment. Now, I bring that up because we are currently seeing with the executive orders that Donald Trump is signing into law that many of them are in direct violation of the Constitution, direct violations of United States codes, and unethical and immoral practices. The executive order on the birthright citizenship has been now blocked by 4 justices. Each one of those justices said that Donald Trump's executive order is in direct violation of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution that guaranteed anyone that was naturalized or born here in the United States guaranteed citizenship. And the wording of that executive order targets a specific race of people known as Hispanics. So not only does that executive order violate the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, it is also targeted racism by the Trump administration. And that in itself is a direct violation of the 1965 Civil Rights Act as well. So as we see a lot of these cases being going to the federal courts, we have to, as American citizens, trust the courts. My process took 4 years from the time that I was investigated, arrested, charged, tried, convicted, sentenced, overturned, was 4 years of my life. It's going to take a little bit of time, but we, the people, need to trust the process, trust the courts, trust the outcome that will ensure that our Constitution stays in check. Now, as I say that, Elon Musk took to Twitter, fuck you, Elon, and posted a tweet that said it is highly unethical for judges to block a president's decision. Well, congratulations, Elon. You just learned that there is a United States Constitution and you're pissed off that it exists. So moving forward, Elon Musk can take his Roman salute and shove it up his ass, and Donald Trump can go ahead and take his executive orders and kiss them goodbye. Because in the end, the Constitution, the federal courts, and the Supreme Court, by rule of law, will stop him from terrorizing us, American citizens, and those people who are not all white from living a very prosperous life here in the United States. Thank you and have a day.